The horror! The horror! Kong Skull Island is ape-pocalypse now in theaters, and if you love the smell of Easter eggs in the morning, we've got you covered. I'm Sasha Pearl Raver, and this is Screen Junkies News. Number 1, Monarch. Throughout the film, we hear references to and meet actual members from the giant monster chasers known as Monarch. Monarch was established in the prequel comic, Godzilla Awakening, which was released before the Gareth Edwards 2014 reboot, Godzilla. Monarch was formed in secrecy in 1946 as a joint coalition between several governments in order to hunt and study massive, unidentified terrestrial organisms, or MUTOs. You know, not so much an Easter egg, but a through line that is fun connective tissue. Number 2, the USS Laughton. John Goodman's Randa references being a survivor from the USS Laughton. This might have been one of the ships attacked in the Pacific by monsters as shown in the prequel comics and the 2014 Godzilla movie. It is suggested that Hiroshima woke up giant monsters in the region which were laying dormant in hollow earth sections around the globe. We see newspaper clippings of these incidents at the start of the 2014 Godzilla. So, when Randa says he's been looking for these monsters, he probably had no idea Kong was out there specifically, and was instead looking for either Godzilla or other MUTOs. Number 3, Key West. The character Mills repeatedly talks about going to Key West, Florida. In Godzilla, it's implied that the USS Maine, aka the catalyst for the Spanish-American War, was actually destroyed by a MUTO. Key West was not only the place that the Maine set sail from, but it's also its final resting place and the memorial. Number 4, the Peanuts. Throughout the movie, the young soldier Slivko takes around his portable vinyl record player because, you know, when you're in the Apes, you need to hear some banging Creedence Clearwater Revival. Am I right? But you'll notice there is a Peanuts comic taped to the inside of the player as we hear those sweet, sweet tunes. Slivko may just be a Snoopy fan, but this is likely also a reference to the band The Peanuts, who are featured several times in the Godzilla films, including the 1961 movie Mothra. The duo played tiny fairies, or priestesses, who can communicate with Mothra, a giant moth creature and adversary of Godzilla. Good grief, now that is an Easter egg! Number 5, anime references. Even if director Jordan Vogt-Roberts didn't tell the website Fandango last month that anime would influence the film heavily, you could still see very specific references everywhere. Vogt-Roberts pays homage to the Neon Genesis Evangelion series with the character of the Japanese soldier in the film, Gunpei Akari. Akari being the surname of the main characters from the anime series. Next, on the back of Marlowe's jacket is the phrase, "good for your health," which is probably both a reference to Kaneda's famous moto jacket from Akira, which says, "good for health, bad for education," and also a reference to John C. Reilly's character, Dr. Steve Brule, who hosts For Your Health on the Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Next, if you think the water buffalo was a hint to Miyazaki, you are correct, as Vogt-Roberts is referencing the forest spirit from Princess Mononoke. And finally, the look of the villainous skull crawlers is a combination of a character from the 1933 Kong film, the first angel from Evangelion, No Face from Spirited Away, and Cubone from Pokemon. Number 6, Triceratops. When the cast faces down the skull crawlers between the bones of Kong's parents, you briefly see a familiar fossil, that of a Triceratops. This is a reference to the original Skull Island that appeared in King Kong in 1933, as well as to Peter Jackson's 2005 remake, where dinosaurs also lived on the island. But it's also kind of a Jurassic Park reference, and not the only one. Number 7, hold on to your butts. Jurassic Park gets more than a thematic shout out in the film when Samuel L. Jackson gives a repeat of his famous Jurassic Park line, "hold on to your butts," as the crew takes off in their helicopters through the electrical storm surrounding Skull Island. It should also be noted that helicopters are the preferred mode of transportation to the island, Jurassic Park. Number 8, original King Kong. There are a number of references and homages to the 3 previous King Kong films from 1933, 1976, and 2005. The biplane fighters we see at the beginning of Skull Island remind us of the iconic Empire State Building battle scenes at the climax of both the 1933 and 2005 films. Later on, in typical Kong fashion, he saves yet another slender blonde in his comforting hands. There is also a nice nod during the final jungle kaiju battle to Kong being in chains, a reference to how he was brought to America in the other 3 films. Number 9, Planet of the Apes. Maybe not an Easter egg, but a fun fact. Actor Toby Kebbell, who did the mocap work for Koba in the Planet of the Apes series, plays human man and soldier Jack Chapman. And while he was initially brought on just to play a man, he was later tapped by ILM to step in and use his movement expertise to play Kong, along with performer Terry Notary, another mocap performer from the Apes franchise. Number 10, Landsat. Another fun fact / screw up. The doomed members of Landsat seen in the film are not just Kong's version of Star Trek's Red Shirt Dead Men Walking. Landsat is an actual and ongoing program for the acquisition of satellite imagery for America. They were once a division of NASA, but now fall into the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We do want to point out there is an anachronism here, as Landsat was not called Landsat in 1973 when the film takes place. It was known as the Earth Resources Technology Satellites Program. It wasn't until 1975 that it became Landsat. Number 11, so much apocalypse now. Hey, did you guys know that this movie takes place at the close of the Vietnam War? Because director Vought Roberts is here to mine one of cinema's greatest Vietnam movies for all kinds of references. First up, Tom Hiddleston's character, James Conrad, is obviously named after Joseph Conrad, the writer of Heart of Darkness, which was the basis of Apocalypse Now. Between that and helicopters flying through bursts of fire and colored smoke, Kong standing in front of a hazy red sun, a journalist shutterbug with really nice hair, and Samuel L. going full Colonel Kurtz, there is a lot of overt helmet nods that are very hard to miss. Number 12, end credit scene. And finally, that end credit scene though. You wanted some cinematic universe with your kaiju? Well, the gang's all here. Monarch is putting together a team at the end of the movie to hunt some pretty big monsters. We see ancient cave paintings from the Hollow Earth Islands, which confirm the existence of Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah. They're all out there, and they're ready to radioactive boogie in Godzilla King of Monsters, slated for 2019 and again in Godzilla vs. Kong in 2020. Thanks for watching all the Kong. Did you catch all the Easter eggs? Did we miss any? Let us know. You can always tweet us at SJ News. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can always click here for more internets.